And very good afternoon. Welcome to the Saturday preview with myself, David Massey. Trying something a bit new today. Doing it from the comfort of the living room rather than upstairs. And that's because I'm going to try something different. I've had a couple of people say that they can't hear the previews properly. So as you can see, the earphones are in. Hopefully, this will come out a bit better, and you'll be able to hear it properly. You can certainly see me a bit better, that's for sure. I'm not sure that's a good thing though. And we'll sort of go through a few of tomorrow's races. Starting with it's not the greatest racing in the world tomorrow. It must be said. Um, you expect this a couple of weeks before Cheltenham, obviously, that the quality sort of dips a little bit on the Saturdays. But you got Kelso, we've got Doncaster, we've got Newbury, and there are some interesting races, if not necessarily betting races. And they start at Kelso. We'll go through the Kelso ones first. The 130 is the 365 Premier Novices Hurdle. Not a race I want to bet in. My Drogo's been impressive on the eye, if not necessarily on the figures. And I think he's probably the one to beat again. I know, having spoken to Rory this morning, he's quite keen on Bareback Jack. He's quite keen on the Muscle Reform, Bareback Jack and Tommy's Oscar. And I can sort of see how backing the two in a double makes some sort of sense, because if Bareback Jack does win here, it shortens the price of Tommy's Oscar later on in the afternoon in the Moor Battle. So I get that, and the fact that you're almost having a related double that's not a related double, if that makes sense. Any news of some interest as well, because he finished a length behind Make Me a Believer at Cheltenham when we last saw him back in December, when I think essentially Make Me a Believer outstayed him. And I quite like Make Me a Believer as a possible outsider for the Albert Bartlett. It's the old cliche, whatever he does as a hurdler, he'll improve upon next year. Make Me a Believer as a chaser. So that makes any news look quite interesting. Neil Mulholland has a fairly good strike rate at the track. I think he's 2 from 9. I've got another Mulholland one later on that's also worth a mention. But not a betting race for me, the 130. I'm happy to sit and watch that, I think, at the current prices. The 205 is a 2 mile 5 handicap hurdle, and again, I've been through this a couple of times. I don't see a bet. I think it's quite open. You can make a case. There's 10 in the race, and you can very nearly make a case for 7 of them. I think if you pushed me for a bet, it'd be tax me if you can, but with no great conviction. I don't think Sebastopol. I just don't. I've never seen Sebastopol as a 2 mile 5 horse, I suppose, which is the one thing that sort of puts me off of him. I think he's got the class, and the more it dries tomorrow, the better his chance. But whether he really wants 2 mile 5, I don't know. I'm happy to pass it over. The 240 is 2 mile, just short of 3 mile. Handicap chase. It's not a handicap chase, it's a Premier chase. It's level weight. And again, I found this difficult. Lakeview Lad, I don't think it's worth his marker 157. Handicapper immediately started to drop him after his run last time out, when he rated him 162 the time before, and he ran poorly, and he immediately dropped him £5. I think he basically realised he'd made a mistake from his Aintree run and put him up too much. Definitely Red. How much has he got left at his age? I don't know. 2 for Gold and ASO are going to be the two at the front of the market, based on the fact that they fought out the Warwick finish, but that was over 2.5. 2 for Gold gets 3 mile. ASO, does he really get 3? I'm not sure. I'm not entirely convinced he's a 3 miler. So of those two, I think probably 2 for Gold would make more appeal. But I just wonder whether they'll go from the front again with Cloth Cap. He probably needs it to keep drying up, but he was very, very impressive at Newbury. I know he was only winning off bottom weight there, but he never looked in any danger of losing from a long way out, winning the Ladbrokes Trophy, formerly the Hennessy. The form of that's not great this year. This being 3 winners out of the race, just the 3. So it's not fantastic form, and the handicap's put him up 12. But this might be less about handicapping again and more about the way the race is run. I probably want a little bit bigger than 4-1, given that at the weights he's got a bit to do. But as I say, it's more about the way it could be run this. And then you come to the Moor Battle, where again Tommy's Oscar, having spoken to Rory this morning, he makes the case for that perfectly well. He likes, as I say, the Scottish Supreme hurdle form. And if Bareback Jack does win early, it makes him look more interesting here. I'll throw a couple more into the mix. Scargier is one of them. Another Neil Mulholland horse, Sam Twiston Davis rides. He's basically just fell out with fences. He's just not a chaser for whatever reason. He's got the size for it, he's got the scope, but he just doesn't seem to want to jump fences. So 2 unseats and a fall. He did win at Newton Abbot, but even that wasn't the most convincing. I could see him running better back over hurdles here off a fair mark. 131. He's got all the ability if he just puts it together. He's coming back off a break as well, and I don't think that's any bad thing either. He'd be fresher than quite a few of these. Similarly, Playa Blanca is coming back off a very similar sort of break. He won here back in October off a mark of 120. He's only £4 higher today, and that's the same mark as he was a second off at Newbury to Tomorrow Mystery. 2 poor runs since then. You can excuse both of those. One on because the trip was too far, and the other because he tried fences and he didn't like them. So both those last 2 runs can be forgiven. I think, obviously, with him being a course and distance winner, that's a big plus. The fact he's coming back off a break is also a big plus. And the more the ground dries is a plus. So he's got quite a bit going for him. I'd want a decent price, but I think I'll probably get one. I think he'll certainly be north of 20 to 1. So I think Playa Blanca might be the way I end up playing that race. There's a couple then at Newbury. They're taking in a couple of the early races. It's a Great Wood Day at Newbury. They're taking in the 115, which is the Veterans Handicapped Chase. Going to be some pace in this. Present Man will go from the front. Valadon will go from the front. Strong Pursuit will probably go from the front. And there'll be 1 or 2 others as well pushing it along. So it's going to suit the hold-ups. Ha, ha, ha. And the hold-ups in the race are Single Farm Payment and West Approach. Now, I say that with a bit of a sort of sigh in my voice because you wouldn't want your last quid on either of them two, would you? Let's be honest. They're not the most trustworthy of animals. Single Farm Payment we know all about over the years. We've seen him come there to win numerous good Cheltenham handicaps, only not to go through with his effort. And similarly, West Approach, who will travel on the bridle. Will he go through with it? He might not have to come off the bridle here. That's the thing with West Approach. It could be a welcome winner for Colin Tizard. But he's only about a 5 to 1, 11 to 2 chance. And I don't really want to be taking those sort of prices at the moment about anything from Colin Yard. 2 from 40 in the last fortnight. There was talk of a recovery a couple of weeks ago and how great it was to see him back. He's had 2 winners from the last 40. It's not great. And it's still been a real struggle for him. One good thing in West Approach's favour, I think, tomorrow, the booking of Adam Wedge. Do like Adam Wedge. I think he'll be ideal for it. You might be able to get him to switch off. It's his chance. It's definitely West Approach's chance, but as I say, it's your life in their hands stuff. I think come the last couple of furlongs, maybe back to lame if you're the sort that likes that sort of thing on Betfair. Don't know. 150 is the Great Wood Handicap Chase. Loads you can give some sort of a squeak to here on the best of their form. The interesting couple for me, the Big Bite, an old friend really who needs a flat track, 2.5 miles. I think this is ideal for him. I think he's one of interest. Barton Knoll, the John Mackey, who's a proper old-fashioned chasing type. He's a real grand stamp, and he came good at Doncaster last time. They raised him 5, which looks enough at this stage. And I don't know whether Richie McLean's a great booking for him or not. Not sure. Might get away with it. If Pogue runs well this afternoon at Doncaster, then it obviously increases Barton Knoll's chance. And the more the ground dries, the better his chance too. But both Rory and I, earlier on in the week when we looked at the entries to this, saw the Russian Doyen having his first run for Jeremy Scott, having left Colin Tizards, and we both said we're going to have to, give him a chance if he's a price. And they put him in last night at 25s. That's just too big. There is still 25s in one place, I believe. Bet365 is still 25s as I record this at 20 plus 1. Effectively, you're just taking a chance that Jeremy has got him bouncing again. A new regime and some new scenery has sorted him out because he's got plenty of talent, the Russian Doyen. And, he was going all right. He was going all right at Cheltenham in the Paddy Power till a stopping mistake 4 out. Similarly at Newbury, he was bowling along in front until he fell. They put blinkers on him for those last 2 starts. They're off today. First run for Jeremy, they're off. And I don't particularly think he needs blinkers. He just, a positive ride. And if he jumps well, I think he's got a really good chance. I looked at Jeremy's figures for the past year. He with horses first time up from others' yards. He's 0 from 6, but 3 have been placed. So that's not too bad. And the further back you go, the better it looks. If you sort of go back over 3 years, I think he's 3 from 30. So he can get them ready first time from others' yards. There's enough there, especially off of his mark on 132, for me to sort of think he could be a bet at sort of anything north of 16 to 1 is probably worth a bit of a look. And then we got a card at Doncaster as well. Let me get the Doncaster card up. I think they've got 3 races from Doncaster. There's a mares listed hurdle. It's the first of the ITV races on the card. I have to say I've got somewhere between no and 0 interest in that as a betting contest. Just bear with me one sec. The computer's on a little bit of a go slow. Then there's a 2 mile chase comes up after that, and I think that's at 2:20. And that is a bit more of an interesting race. After speaking to Rory this morning, there are a couple of interesting ones in there. He makes the case for Ballywood. He's made the case this week in a couple of places for Ballywood as effectively an outsider for the Grand Annual in a couple of weeks' time, because Ballywood very much a Cheltenham horse. He always looks like he's going to sort of come there cruising and never really seems to quite get up the hill. But of course, this year we're onto the new course. No, we've been on the new course, on the old course. And so, of course, the hill slightly becomes less of an issue for him, the uphill climb. He's got chances, Ballywood, here. But as you say, you are sort of only a couple of weeks before a big race. Do you want to give him a hard race? It may be the case, that he has to win this to get himself into the Grand Annual, because the mark that he's on isn't guaranteed. It isn't guaranteed to get him in. He might be a pound or 2 short. And if that's the case, then obviously it makes Ballywood a bit more interesting. I thought down the bottom, I thought Movie Legend was quite interesting. He seems to have wind surgery every year now. Movie Legend. He performed all right first time up at Cheltenham. It was an okay sort of run, but after that, his last 2 runs have been quite moderate. He's had wind surgery though, and he blew the cobwebs away on the all-weather in a jumper's bumper last month, and it was an all right run. It was okay. So it was purely to see that he could breathe okay. He's a course and distance winner if you go back a couple of years. His mark's fine. Drying ground's ideal for him in the small field too. So, and he's been putting the outsider here at 16s. And I think I could chance Movie Legend at that price. I could just about chance him. I think Jack Quinlan takes over from Bryony. I'm not saying Bryony doesn't get on with Movie Legend, but Jack certainly does. And I think that's a plus point for me tomorrow. So I'd have a small win bet on Movie Legend, I think, at the prices. And the Grimthorpe as well, which again, I'm afraid it's a bit of a shame. There's only the 7 runners, but however you look at this, whatever leads here, I think it's going to have a real good chance of holding on, because all 7 of them, to varying extents, are hold-up horses. And if one of them decides they're going to grab the bull by the horns and make all, I think they'll have a decent chance of doing so. And now, I know Rory quite likes Red Infantry. I'm going with Beware the Bear. It's risky, of course, because it's Beware the Bear, and he might just decide he's going to sulk it and not have any of it, as he did at Ascot last time. Really, he tailed himself off and then ran on really strongly in the last sort of quarter mile and passed some beaten ones when it was all over. A couple of years ago, I think it might have been on New Year's Day, Beware the Bear made all at Cheltenham when they put blinkers on him first time, and he absolutely hosed up that day. So it's a question of whether he's still got the speed to lead these, and indeed whether he's got the will to lead these. That's the worry. But James Bowen's taking over tomorrow, obviously with Jerry McGrath sidelined. James Bowen in the saddle, I think, is a real plus, because he's ridden 1 or 2 of these Henderson horses from the front recently and won on them. If he's alert at the start and he can give Beware the Bear what for as he comes out at the starting gate, I think that's the chance. If they can lead with Beware the Bear and get him into a rhythm on the front, I think he's got a really good chance of winning this. I honestly do. He's been putting it around about 6-7 to 1. That's the sort of price I could just about chance him at. Small win bet and just chance him at that to be honest. But hard race, as they all are tomorrow. It's tough racing. There's nothing I sort of look at and think, yeah, I definitely really want to be with that one tomorrow. So hard racing. Is there a best bet out of all of that lot? I don't think there's a best one. I think the one that represents best value for money probably is Movie Legend at Doncaster, because he's got everything going for him tomorrow. If he can't operate under those conditions tomorrow, having had the wind operation, and clearly he's had a run to blow those cobwebs away and see that the wind operation has worked on a track that he clearly likes. He's won and been placed there before on a mark that's fair, on ground he likes. Then really, I don't think there's much to be gained from keeping him going. Right, so there we go. I hope you heard all that. I'll be back next week. I'm concentrating more now, obviously, on Cheltenham run up to Cheltenham. We've got about a week and a bit left. I'm starting to look now at the handicaps. Now I've sort of made my early cases on the level weights races, so looking at those, and I'll put I'll do a piece next Friday on probably the best 4 handicappers that I've got. Right, best of luck this weekend, guys. I'll be back next week. Thanks a lot.